Hi, Becky. Hi, Hera.
Hi.
Miss you guys.
You start for the discussions, which I guess, how do you feel like you want to do the discussion? I'll translate also to Indonesian. Yeah, yeah.
Good thing I got a 20-minute video. Roll the footage.
Full theater. Full theater Kenya?
Full theater and films.
Oh, theater.
Yes.
Just as a short form profession. So originally it was Full Theater AE, but Aroji went dry. Yeah. Yeah, right. Right. Yeah, sure. I mean,
Are we gonna maybe say, because like there's kind of the context of we're both like why the Jason Americans were doing this work.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
maybe like I think a little
Definitely
bit of
something worth
like a
addressing.
quick sort of like a little bit of our history would use. I think so. Just
Dynamic.
testing. Teman-teman prehistoric, mungkin hanya bisa dengar suara kita kalau pakai mikrofon. Coba tes.
Ya, masuk.
Iya, jadi
Masuk Kak Ari.
kayaknya cuman ini suara ruangan nggak ditangkap, cuman ya harus pegang mic kayak gini. Ya, tapi aman kok.
Nah, oke.
Oh ya,
Ya,
terus nanti di sesi tanya jawab, aku juga akan menerjemahkan buat kalian. Jadi mereka udah aman banget untuk kasih space buat itu. Ya, semoga bisa agak gabung ya di sesi akhir.
Mantap Mintop.
Oke.
Mantap Mintop. Yeah, you're really glowing.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna carry my body out.
I had that last night. I know, and I was about to go. Friends got so scared. They didn't come in. Like, nearby was having it. This was Operation Rescue. Yeah, no, the whole show, I was like, good. What's if you are
I know you are just setting up, so, but just the light and camera is way okay.
How about now?
Up there, yeah.
Oh, yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Look at the screen as you talk, and you'll see when it's receiving. Talk into it.
Yeah, talking.
Okay, so I should definitely be a little bit
Yeah,
louder.
get a bit
Okay.
close to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Billy.
Yeah, they were also saying they can't hear anything in the room other than through the mic. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Can I use yours? And you want to ring? Yeah, you're taking out like, yeah. Woo! Thank you, everyone. Welcome to La Mama. This is the Global Languages Strategic Exchanges, a cross-pollination panel for the Creatures Project. That was so many words. I'm really excited to have Adam and Ari and Bold Theater and Prehistoric Body Theater here from Kenya and from Indonesia. And I'm Maura. I co-conceived the Creatures Project with Eric N. And we are really excited to have Great Jones Rep inhabiting all of these spaces. If you haven't been here for our remote audience, we've taken over the 74A East 4th Street building with installations, talks, vigils, meals, and performances, workshops, and conversations. And this is our very first conversation for this inhabitation, occupation, infestation. So how did this happen? Adam is a member of the Great Jones Repertory Company and has been working on this project that you will explain. That started through meeting one another at La Mama Umbria.
Yep.
And Ari and Prehistoric Body Theater were performing at Asia Society this spring. This June, and I saw it and thought these folks are doing exactly the thing I'm really, really excited about, which is artists doing deep investigation of their artistic practice and actually talking to scientists about the work that they're doing and then figuring out how to make these things come together. So I was immediately just went up after the show and was like, you have to just be a part of this somehow. So I'm excited to have these folks here, and they're also helping us bring in a global conversation around what it means to be working in this time. So does that feel like enough context for me to walk away and let you?
I think it's pretty good.
Okay. Just one note that we do have folks beaming in from Kenya and from Indonesia, and we will, when we're getting into the conversation, take some time to do some translation. Yeah? Okay. If folks in Indonesia want to see it, they should go to La Mama's Facebook page. And Eric will post that. Great. All right. I'm gonna hand it over to you to start, or okay.
Thanks, Mara.
Hey, hi everybody. Adam here. It's awesome to be finally in conversation with Ari. This is my first time in the 74 building, so it's cool to be here, and it's so special to be seeing my La Mama family again, because every time I'm here it feels like I'm coming home, which is really great. And yeah, I just worked on a project with Bold Theater in Kenya called Richi Wa Utat, Richard III. And I would like to, anybody that's beaming in from Kenya, I'd like to introduce our producer and the founder of Bold Theater, Aroji Otieno. Aroji, you want to say hi to everybody? Aroji is in Kenya, so there might be a little bit of a lag. And I would also like everybody, hey Aroji, yeah, if you want to, everybody who's in Kenya, if you could just come off mute and introduce yourselves, that would be great. Starting with Aroji.
Hey everyone, I hope I've come out of mute. So I'm very excited about this. Very excited to see the cast here. Some of them are still off video, but yeah, I think we have a really, really, really wonderful sort of like experience to share with you guys. So thank you for tuning in from all parts of the world. And we are very much looking forward to a wonderful, wonderful session. So thank you.
Thanks, Raj. Everybody else who's a part of the cast, would you like to just briefly introduce yourself? Say hi to the world. Daniel, start us off.
Yeah, hi. It's good. It's evening time in Kenya, 6:15 p.m. I don't know what time it is out there, but hi. My name is Daniel Muturi. I am an actor, music producer, commercial model. Was involved in, I even have the script with me right now. So I embodied the.
I promise I didn't tell him to do that.
Yeah, he did. No, it wasn't it wasn't scripted, pun not intended. So yeah, I was in Richard III, Richi Wa Utat, Shakespeare piece, but now done in Shakespeare. Therefore, I was supposed to introduce myself. I just went rambling. I played the role of Prince Edward, Al Rivers, and Duke of Norfolk.
Cool. Thanks, Daniel. Everybody, somebody else want to jump on? And let's try to keep it a little brief, because I want to make sure we have enough time to get to the awesome video of your guys' work. Hera, you want to say hi? Neville? Nissi?
Hi, everyone. Hera Alice here, played Queen Elizabeth and Oxford. Nice to see you all and meet you all. Thank you.
Thanks, Hera. Neville, Nissi, you guys want to, I don't know who all is there, but everybody, you can just come off mute and say hello. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Hey,
Hello, everyone. I am Diango Imoya. I was in the production of King Richard, adopted Richi Wa Utat. I had a time of my life in the production, and Happy to see the world.
Awesome. Thanks, Tungui. Neville, Hera, or Hera said hi. Neville, Nissi, anybody else there want to say hello?
Hello, can you all hear me?
Hey, Nev.
Hi, my name is Neville. I played Richard the Third, Richi. Adam likes calling him Richi. So it was a phenomenal experience. Thank you, Adam, for coming and giving us the experience. So excited. Can't wait for the next time. So yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Thanks, champ. Nissi, you want to say hello?
Yeah, I guess I'll go last. So, hi, my name is Nisi Ogweno. Happy to be here. I played Lady Anne and some other characters, but I'm basically happy to be here.
Awesome. Thanks, Nissi. If there's anybody else from Kenya there that wants to say hi, if not, I would just like to hand things over to Aroji. It sounds like there's somebody else.
Hi, Adam.
Hey, Amrix.
Sorry, I just came from set right now and I'm in transit.
Yeah.
So I'm Hendrix. I played the character of Clarence and a few other characters in the play, and I'm happy to be here.
Well, it's great to have you. And yes, getting around Kenya can be a little bit of a challenge. It makes getting around New York look like a cakewalk. Aroji, would you like to, I think a lot of the work is really going to speak for itself, and I think that when we get to the discussion portion at the end, I don't want to yammer too much. But Aroji, it's your company, and this was really your vision that brought all this this crazy idea to fruition. So I would love for you to speak a little bit more about how all this came to be.
All right, thank you for that. And thank you guys once again for just being here. We're very excited. We know that the festival is running, and we're very much with you there. And so this has been our version of what we did for the festival, and we will be very happy to show you what I did. We just want to maybe just to give you a brief of my background and how I came to be a part of the La Mama family. I was invited for a director's workshop back in 2019 by David Diamond, who runs the Umbria side of the workshop. But before then, the way how David got us is I worked with Sundance Institute with the great Liesel Tommy and a few other huge names. And then David came to visit us when we were in Ethiopia. And finally, after a few years, we were able to go to also see the kind of work that we did just a few years later with other African directors, Wesley in Rwanda, Frederick in Burundi, and I think it was the three of us for that session. Oh, and there was the Ethiopian, the team from Ethiopia as well. So for us, this was the first time I was getting to understand the vision or just understand the connection about Helen and La Mama. And for me, it was really, really sort of like groundbreaking, because my theater had always been based in the community, in the families, but also had not really defined theater so much. Most of it was very academical the way I saw it. But then, in this was the time where people are really talking about the experience of it. So that I remember we had a meeting. I had two very sort of like I had, of course, a lot of experiences, but two main vivid experiences. The first one was Bill from Culture Hub, who used to drive me around, and I just assumed if someone is driving you around, he's a driver. But then he's talking as if I'm like, this guy is talking things that are so intelligent. And I'm like, why are drivers so intelligent in Italy? And then, so I felt very embarrassed later on, because I was listening, I was like, wow, this is like a magnetic place to have that. And so he talked about Culture Hub. He talked about the need for us to grow sort of like oasis or hubs of culture in every other country. And that for the first time, my mind stopped from just thinking about Kenya, which had its own challenges of culture and its own identity, to think about how do I represent my country, my continent, but then also connect to the globe. And then we had Adam, who one day just took me and did something that I'd only seen on TV. He told me to go for a walk in the woods. And then we just went on walking and talking about our varied experiences. And he told me about his work with the refugees, which is something that I was also doing, his love and his passion. and then I was introduced to Shakespeare. So now for us, Shakespeare was something that is seen as, is only done by the elegant, and it's usually like very society based. So I was not really ready to face Shakespeare. And then when we had this Shakespeare workshop, it was broken in such a manner that I was like, oh my God, it's so simple. These are just human conditions, these are just human stories. And so when we came back, I invited Adam, who was already very interested in Shakespeare, to do workshops for the very young actors who are starting then. Some of them are now stars, but by then they were just coming in. And then towards the workshop, I thought, how about we make this closer home? Why don't we do it in Sheng? And so we translated some of the verses in Sheng, and that is how, Shakespeare came about. So I'd like to say that from that moment, and I know I'm sorry to take the time, but from that moment, I've always tried to sort of like do both, mentorship for young people, training for young people, but also how do I advance the culture? How do I make the African culture just as equal, just as giving as how we get the Hollywood culture always giving us? And so I had already tried, I've already worked a lot here. This is like my 22nd year in the performance industry trying to do this. But when I got Culture Hub and La Mama coming in, I felt like it was the first time that I was part of a family. I was part of a family who let you do your thing, let you explore, because we were very interested, again, digitally, how we were working. And I'll talk about that maybe later on. But at the same time, let us also be able to grow as a culture, as an African culture. So there's a lot that has been going on. I'll sort of like stop mumbling because I'm worried about time. So Adam, I want to give you that back. And once I have enough time, or once we're able to talk, I can be able to now talk about the detail of the project we've done with La Mama, the project we've done with Culture Hub, other countries also as well, that has now brought us to this space where we are now enjoying a more sort of like global festival.
Awesome. Thanks, Raj. And feel free, as we look at the PowerPoint, and we can go ahead and pull up the PowerPoint, feel free to jump in at any point. Yeah, so I'm a member of the Great Jones Repertory Company, and I'm a director, actor, and an educator. But I really pride myself on trying to be as much of a global participant as possible, which is another big part of the La Mama family and the La Mama conversation. So it was really special to meet Aroji at the Umbria Director Symposium. And we really started working on this in the year 2000, like he mentioned, with the online workshops. And this really would not have happened without Mia, without other members of the Great Jones Repertory Company, who also were part of our online workshops. Sorry, I'm timing myself so I don't go over. This was what we did. We did Richi Wa Utat, or Richard III. The whole idea. We called this the Shakespeare Project. Sheng is a fascinating language. And I first learned about that, in pandemic working with Aroji. And we can go to the next slide. This is the beautiful company of Richi Wa Utat. There's that handsome devil, Aroji, and then that other Mzungu over there. But Sheng language has always really fascinated me, and it's a big part of my work. Because language is just, it can be such a container for history and culture. And, instead of thought informing language, language can inform thought. And I've never been, I've studied Shakespeare, I've done it a bunch, but it's not something that I particularly would say is like my primary focus. But what I do enjoy and what we did is this was not a Shakespeare story. This was very much a Kenyan story that we told through the prism of Richard III. We had some really serious objectives. One was to amplify Sheng language. It is this really fascinating, almost coded language in Africa that's a blend of English, Kiswahili, mother tongue, Kikuyu. It's also generational. The Gen Zs and the millennials actually speak two different versions of Sheng. Where you're from will inform what type of Sheng you have. And for that very reason, the government really look down on Sheng because it's this coded language of the people that you can really pour your culture into. And I will never forget when Aroji said to me, we can't express ourselves in the language that we think and feel in. And I said, hold my beer. We're going to do exactly that. But we really wanted, we chose this place specifically because it really mirrors a lot of the socioeconomic struggles that are endemic to Kenya and pretty much have been since colonialism, which ended in 1963. But we really wanted to tell a Kenyan story with Kenyan music and this Kenyan language and Kenyan fashion. And we, you know, a lot of times when, you know, a white theater maker comes to Kenya, they see the ghettos and the slums, which is what they're actually called in the country. They're these huge mega communities. That's all everybody wants to talk about. They want to put a camera on that and say, this is this country. And it's so much more than that. That is still a story that needs to be told. But we didn't just want to put the spotlight there. We wanted to put the spotlight on these young performers, on the language, and the culture as a whole. And we wanted to perform it, though, for those people, because a lot of those people, you know, they're, for starters, a lot of the people, and we can go to the next slide, the people that were in this production really don't get these kind of opportunities. And the people that saw it when we performed in the ghetto of Korogocho, they also don't have an opportunity. You know, a lot of those people had never seen a show before, let alone to see their own story being told back to them in a really powerful way. We can go to the next slide. These are some of the areas we took some inspiration from. The bottom left-hand corner, that's Jomo Kenyatta. That is the first president of Kenya, who, you know, basically took the playbook for colonialism and decided he was going to improve it, and not in a good way. You'll see it in the upper left, you know, there's this amazing fashion scene in Kenya. It's one of the most beautiful cultures that I've ever had the privilege of interacting with, and it's so humbling and amazing. And you would think, you know, you go into these slums, and it's like some of the best dressed people you've seen in the entire country. We also, matatu culture, I could do an hour and a half just on matatus, but matatus are the privately owned buses that go around Kenya that are also basically giant party buses. So that is a huge thing that's very uniquely Kenyan. So we wanted to make sure, when we started, I said, I don't know how we're gonna put a party bus on stage, but we're gonna figure it out. We also really wanted to showcase a lot of really older Kenyan culture, and we really wanted to embrace a lot of Kenyan mysticism and mythology and storytelling. And that also very much correlates to Richard III. Macbeth kind of gets the, you know, the rap for being the you know, sinister, superstitious Shakespeare play. The word curse is only spoken 9 times in Macbeth. It is spoken 30 times in Richard III. So we really wanted to amplify all of those other, you know, take this Shakespeare story and then just push this Kenyan story through it. And the result was really, really something. We can go to the next slide. This just shows you, we started online with our project. We rehearsed for 3 weeks online, where we kind of did a little bit of intro to Shakespeare. My friend Zishan was also a guest teaching artist. My friend George, all other Great Jones Company members came in and had amazing master classes with them. These photos actually are not of this company. This is from the original workshop in the year 2020. That is my insane French scene chart. And, but yeah, so we rehearsed online for 3 weeks, and then I was in country rehearsing for 3 weeks until we had our performance. We can go to the next slide. We can actually just skip this one because I kind of want to get to yeah, we can go ahead and skip this one because we're getting a little short on time. But there was a lot of challenges. We can actually play this video. This was our rehearsal, our first rehearsal venue on a rooftop in a library in Nairobi. We got rained out all 3 of our first days. Yeah, we can just go ahead and skip this one because I really want to get to the main video. But this was the actual performance. Again, you know, we performed it in Korogocho, which is one of the larger slums there. And this audience reaction, I have to tell you, so we were very behind schedule. So I actually wasn't even in the audience. I was backstage for the performance, just trying to help make sure, you know, facilitating these 12 actors. When I walked out, I thought there was like 500 people in the audience just because of the reception that we got. And there was, you know, it was like 200 people out there, but the energy was breathtaking. It was probably the biggest theatrical challenge of my life for a lot of different ways, but also by far the most rewarding theatrical experience I've ever had. So thank you to La Mama for helping make this happen, and thank you to Aroji for the life-changing invitation. We also documented the production, and we want to show at least a few minutes of that video before we get to Prehistoric Body Theater, because I don't want to take any of your time. But yeah, if we want to pull up the video of Richi Wa Utat. Oh, that's the company there. So the 12 performers, Aroji, myself, and our two musicians, because we also wanted to have traditional Kenyan instruments. Which also, you know, this play was, one thing I do want to mention is this play was very experimental for Kenya, not just because it was half in Sheng and half in English, but you don't see a lot of, you know, productions or happenings where there actually is music, live music on stage, and traditional Kenyan, you know, dress and music. So this was a really special experience, not just for all those of us that worked on it, but for everyone that got to view it as well. I think it kind of speaks for itself. Let's watch a little bit of Richi Wa Utat. Oh, I also forgot to mention, we couldn't do this show without some Kenyan hip hop either. And the only thing better than having a party bus on stage is bringing people up from the audience to join the party. And we can probably skip ahead just a few minutes, just because I want to get ahead to Ari, but I just want to show just a little bit more of what we did. Yeah, also worth noting that in addition to having a costume designer, we actually had a fashion designer that worked with us on the show as well, because really showcasing all of these different colors of this world was such a priority for us. Let me skip ahead just a little bit more. And conceptually, what we did was when Aroji and I were working on this together, we wanted to set this a couple years in the future, and since we weren't setting it necessarily in the slums, we said, what would happen if some of the more violent tribes took over the country, and what would happen if the world of the ghettos and the presidential palace, kind of those lines started to blur? What would that look like in that Kenyan future? I mean, maybe just skip ahead just one more time. Oh yeah, they had a ball with the stage combat. And one of the last things I want to say, because I really want to hand this over to Ari, I know we started a little bit late, but I really want to make sure he gets all the time that they should have. The goal wasn't to just say, hey, I want to go direct a Shakespeare play in Kenya. This was really education driven. It was about learning a whole new way of working. A lot of these people have never even been in a show before. So they were learning a lot of new skills. Someone in the cast became the fight captain. Someone helped build the set. Someone became our production manager. Someone became a production assistant. So one of the things that I love so much about Aroji is that it's a constant evolving learning process with him and with Bold Theater. And there's really not a lot of attention put onto, learning that diverse kind of skill set in the country. There is no, it's not like the US where we have all these amazing acting intensive programs. Those just don't exist, and certainly not for the people that, don't have a lot of opportunities within the country. So it was really special to watch the depth and the growth of every single person that was a part of this. I don't want to take any more of Ari's time. I know we'll get a brief Q&A session at the very end, but that's a little glimpse of of Richi Wa Utat. Asante sana.
All right, I guess am I taking the mic? Thanks, Adam
Take the mic.
and Aroji, and yeah, everyone from Kenya. Super cool. I love the colors. Like colors and textures. Nice. Yeah. Okay. Well, hi. My name is Ari, and I am from the U.S. I'm from Seattle, San Juan Islands, but I've been living in Indonesia for 14 years now, in the dance world, and I'm the co-artistic director of Prehistoric Body Theater with Sofian. And so maybe we could start with Sofian, and several of our team are on from Indonesia. So mungkin Sofian bisa perkenalkan diri dan teman-teman bisa hadir di Zoom.
Ya, halo. Sorry. Hi everyone. My name is Sofian Joyotomo. I'm from Malang, East Java, Indonesia, and I have been with Prehistoric Body Theater since 2017 as the co-artistic director with Tari and also as a performer. Good to meet you guys.
Thanks, Sofian. Let's see, yang lain. Ini ada siapa aja di Zoom sekarang?
Halo.
Agak frozen. Yang lain dari Prehistoric Body Theater?
Halo, halo. Hello, my name is Boy Mahmudi. I'm from Pati, Central Java. I have been Prehistoric Body Theater 2019 and performer and creative crew. Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Nice. Thanks, Boy.
Hello. Hello everyone. My name is Widi. You can call me Widi. I'm from Yogyakarta, Indonesia. I'm joined in Prehistoric Body Theater 2020. My job is assistant programmer and performance. Oh,
Thanks, Widi.
Hello everyone. My name is Arif Ambudi. I'm from Yogyakarta, Indonesia. I'm in adventure with Prehistoric Body Theater since 2021. I'm dancer, also creative team. Thank you.
Thanks, Arif.
Hello guys. Oke. Siapa duluan? Masalah atau aku?
Tirta.
Oke. Hello everyone. My name is Tirta Nopatarani. You can call me Tirta. I'm originally from Dayak Lawangan tribe in Central Borneo. I'm joined in Prehistoric Body Theater since 2022, and I'm as a performer in Prehistoric Body Theater. Thank you.
Thanks, Tirta. Ada lagi? Oh ya, Alan.
Hello everyone. My name is Alan Ilun. You can call me Alan. I'm from Solo, Central of Java, Surakarta, Indonesia. I'm joined with Prehistoric since 2017 and also performer and team creative. Thank you.
Thanks, Alan. We have someone else? Ada lagi?
Hey everyone. My name is Putri Citrasni Belurani. It's a long name, but you can call me Citra, and I'm from Batang, North Coast, East Java. Yeah, and I have been with Prehistoric Body Theater since 2024 as a performer. Yeah. Hey.
Thanks, Citra. Ada lagi? Oh ya.
Rahayu. My name is Arya Bayaji Samudra. You can call me Samuhung. I'm from Trenggalek, East Java, and I'm joined Prehistoric Body Theater since 2024. And my job desk is as performer and creative team. Thank you, Rahayu, everyone.
Rahayu, thanks Samo. Is that everyone? Ada lagi? Eti? Eti bisa gabung gak ya? A couple of our friends maybe have difficulty getting signal right now from their various positions. So Let's see if anyone pops in a little bit later. So maybe we can start the slideshow. And so as you can see, everyone is a creative team. We as Prehistoric Body Theater, we are very much a collective, and several of us have been working together since 2017, and the others joined in the subsequent years. Let's see, waiting for the slideshow here. But yeah, so we live together in a collective house in the jungle, which we call our nest, the sarang. And it's our beautiful paradise, which we are unfortunately losing right now because the place got sold. But we had 5 beautiful years in this incubation space that gave us this. Let's see, this is not the beginning of the slideshow. Let's go to the beginning. And so I'm gonna begin this a little bit with not our team, but really more this question, this big question that spurred Prehistoric Body Theater. And so we can go to the next slide. And so this is as revealed by the science of paleontology. Our bodies, our sense of our perception is inherited from an evolutionary story that's hundreds of millions of years. I mean, we can say billions of years in the making through this process of evolution. And this great biological tree of life connects us with all living beings, present and past, in one great story of shared inherited family and ancestry. And I have this question, and I think there is this big question for us as humans. What is our connection with this? What does that say about our identity, where we came from? And how do we respond maybe from our different traditions and backgrounds about this question of, are we all one family, really, with all of life? And we can go on to the next slide. In the womb, we go through this process of developing the spine. Our gills become our neck, become our jaw, and this story connects us directly with all of vertebrate life, and we have all of these beings in our inherited genetic ancestry that go back really to the origin of life, to this first mysterious cell called Luca, the last universal common ancestor. And from this little cell, something like 3.5 billion years ago, there was this process of life mysteriously flowering and blooming and shifting and evolving. And we somehow grew out of all of that. And so how do we connect? Next slide. We can see here something about this process of human evolution. And we have, maybe all of these beings inside of us, and then going to this question of, what is the future? What's coming? And we're in this crazy moment with, of course, AI, with we feel like we're almost evolving faster than we can keep track of. But then this question of where did we come from? Maybe we can ground something about where we're going by looking back in time rather than forward for just a moment. So next slide. And here's just a little trailer of our work, just a little teaser, and then we'll talk about it more later. this film project will also be screening on Halloween, on the 31st here. So if you want to see the whole thing, you can see it then, but there'll be a couple more clips in the presentation. Next slide. And just a little bit more of a teaser of what this piece, Ghosts of Hell Creek, looks like visually. Next slide. Yeah, little teaser. We can go to the next. Okay, so it's, we can play this and share just a little bit of clips, little snippets of our process. You can play the video. Yeah. So this is our nest space where we live together as a collective family, and we have this laboratory for art and for life together. And it's in the jungle. We are always exploring this question of animal dance through our relationship with our direct animal kin, who we also live together with. And through this constant process of experimentation to enter into animal bodies and to dive deeper into this mystery of nature and our connection with it. And throughout this process, we also work very much with scientists, leading paleontologists, through Zoom, and now we just came out of a 3-month tour in the US, so we got a lot more experience directly here. And of course, also working with scientists in Indonesia as well. All right, next slide. Yeah, this is us. And yeah, this process of the team for the most part are not coming from a background in science at all. Where we live in central Java in Indonesia is very traditional, hotbed of dance, music, art. We're very connected with the Art Institute of Indonesia, which is where I first went to Indonesia actually on a scholarship to the Art Institute, and recently also completed a PhD there with this work. And most of our team are also alumni or currently doing their masters at the Art Institute. So we're very much in this ecosystem of traditional dance and this experimental fire, exploring all of the ways that tradition is moving now into the 21st century. And where we are in Solo is a place where there's a lot of space given for experimentation and excitement for that. So you can go to the next slide. Here's a little biography of all of us. So, and you got to meet some of them earlier. So yeah, here's our team. All right, next slide. I love this. Satoshi Kawasaki does really interesting, but this is kind of really what the experiment is a prehistoric animal dance character. What does that mean? We have the science that we can explore about any kind of animal. Let's say our prehistoric animals, we have the anatomy, the behavior, the kinematics, all of these systems of locomotion. And we're all vertebrates. Like our body, we have our spine, we have our shoulders, our neck, our head, our feet, our tail. And this can be mapped in an almost objective way because we're really talking about a shared anatomical ancestry with all of these animals. And then that is one of our main sparks for how we create the work. This question of, can we try to do this objectively? Can we try to be as realistic as we can be about these animals? And then that meets traditional dance. And so that's kind of where we're on this fusion between traditional dance technique and this very scientific experiment. All right, next slide. You can play this. And exploring prehistoric animals, we have these great studies. For example, we have tracks that we can reconstruct locomotion from, and the fossils, and all kinds of kinematic laboratory experiments that are done with living animals. Ethological studies of behavior as well. And how we can work with scientists to get each of these pieces. And we always have this question of like, what's the right way to move? And it's like, we can answer that question. Not always for sure, but we can often have, I'll throw these questions to the scientists of, okay, if you don't want to say how, okay, we have A, B, or C, which one is the most likely? And we can go through this process of looking at the evidence and seeing what choices we can make in a vision of trying to bring us closer to something of the truth of this story. And imagination is beautiful, but also imagination can be a barrier. And so we're always trying to go back to the source and have that source fuel the work. Next slide. And if any of y'all are dance nerds, we could get into this. I won't spend a lot of time. Next slide. But one of our our products, our knowledge that we've been building is this choreodex, this choreological system of dance notation, very much inspired by Indonesian traditional dance notation and vocabulary. But we have our own, so it's gonna get very technical, but we have our standard postures, our kinematic subsystems, our kinematic full body systems, all of the locomotion systems. How does it walk, jump, run, stand, respond? And then we have behavioral motifs. So we have all of these phrases based on various behaviors. And this is not our choreography, but this is our shared knowledge where how we train. We also can annotate our performance. We can record it with this, and then we are searching for this standard that we all share together, that we can all perform this, all of these choreotypes, we call them. And then from there, that's our foundation. And then we can go crazy as we're creating the work itself. All right, next slide. All right, Ghosts of Hell Creek. So this is our first piece. We started 8 years ago with Ghosts of Hell Creek, and we have not moved on, although we do have another piece. I'll have a little teaser about that later. But Ghosts of Hell Creek has been our let's say, our flagship work, and in rapid evolution over quite a while. So let's go, next slide. So Hell Creek is a fossil site in eastern Montana that captures the last days of the dinosaurs. And if you've heard of this asteroid, 66 million years ago, that caused an incredible extinction event. 85% of species on Earth were lost in really just a blink of an eye in geologic time. And that's 85% of species, just imagine that. And then those who survived this asteroid were maybe just tiny populations, but somehow managed to come back. And every living thing on Earth today is the descendant of the survivors of this asteroid, as are we. And so, continue, click and play this. Hell Creek. In 2017, got to join the science team in Hell Creek. Here we say this layer of iridium, which is from the asteroid itself. And here we are working on a T-Rex. This is an almost complete T-Rex, which is currently in the Burke Museum. I was very lucky to be there at that moment. And so in 2017, I went to Hell Creek. It was this Art Science Interface Award from University of Washington that I won together with Greg Wilson Mantilla, who is the chief curator of vertebrate paleontology at the museum there. Awesome guy, amazing mentor and supporter of this work. And so I was there for about a month living with the scientists, and then after that, went back to Indonesia, and at the Art Institute put out this open call for a dinosaur dance project, and that's how we all met. So continue. We'll come back to Hell Creek because this summer our Indonesian team also got to spend a month out in Hell Creek, so there'll be a little snippet of that later. But getting into the story of the piece, Ghosts of Hell Creek. Continue. So in Hell Creek, there was T-Rex, Triceratops, many incredible dinosaurs. There was one more mysterious, maybe less known, but very interesting creature called a Chiroptera, which is a very bird-like raptor dinosaur. And then we also have Purgatorius, which is understand as our direct primate ancestor, which was there in Hell Creek when the asteroid hit. And it's the earliest known primate ever in the fossil record, and it's found right there just before the asteroid, very, very little hints of it before the asteroid, and then flowering after the asteroid. And here we can just see a little bit of the structure, the composition. There's this question of who's the last common ancestor of these two animals? What's our last common ancestor with a dinosaur, evolutionary speaking? And then going back to the origin. Okay, next slide. We're gonna go over this all again. So starting with Hycoichthyes, I really hope that the world can come to know Hycoichthyes, because this little fish-like, it's just about this big. It's just a few centimeters long, and it's found in southern China. And Hycoichthyes is understood to be, so far, the earliest known creature ever found with a backbone. So this tiny little thing, 518 million years ago, there's no life on land at all. The land is bare, and we have this explosion of life in the ocean, the Cambrian explosion. And this little critter somehow has this ability to swim faster than anything else in the ocean, and it can escape all those predators with its little fishy body. And from this little creature, we have every fish, every amphibian, every reptile, dinosaur, bird, every mammal, including us. We all descend from this great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother. And let's celebrate where we came from with the next. It's such a simple thing, just this movement in the spine. I feel like it's, this sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. There's something really calming about getting into this space. And when we're 3 weeks old in our mother's womb, that embryonic phase, we're basically a Hycoichthyes. We don't have any limbs yet, we have gills. This is not just our evolutionary story in the distant past, but it's our direct physical story in our mother's womb. So that's an origin point. Next slide. But 200 million years later, Carboniferous swamps of the supercontinent Pangaea, where we have these massive, massive swamps, and the oxygen in the atmosphere is significantly higher than it is now. And so every time there was a storm, a lightning strike, it would cause explosions of fire hitting all of that oxygen. And there was massive forest fires across these swamps. And our coal, all of the coal that we use to power us, it's the residue of these layers of forest fires along the Carboniferous swamps. And so we have a world that's ruled by massive, massive bugs, eagle-sized dragonflies and car-sized millipedes. And in that world, we have this creature, Protoclepsidrops, which is descended from amphibians. We have lots of salamander-like creatures starting to evolve at this time. But this creature, Protoclepsidrops, has a very unique capability. It can lay a hard-shelled egg. If you know amphibians, they have to lay their eggs in water. This is the first creature known of this type that can lay hard-shelled eggs and begin to pioneer the dry land. And Protoclepsidrops is known as the last common ancestor of, on one hand, the reptiles, dinosaurs, birds, that entire lineage, and on the other hand, the mammals. including us. So this is the last common ancestor of these two. It's like Shakespearean, these two great houses, and they meet in this little critter. So warning, if you're squeamish around gore, watch out for the next one, but let's go. Some of this infusion of tradition. So we were experimenting, what is this fight between two protoclepsodrops like? And so I think it was Widi and Ateng who are doing that. And then it was one of these things where, because they're coming from Javanese traditional dance that has a particular fight choreography, motif and technique and timing, and we were just looking at them and realizing that they're using that same timing and that relationship with the kendang drum. It just naturally is coming out. This like, oh, let's bring a kendang into this. And so although it doesn't look anything like Javanese traditional dance, but actually very much that intuition, that timing, that sense of rhythm, that sense of feeling of where are those moments where you're hitting it, you're pausing, yeah, that's it. We're very much, it's still tapped into the traditional dance. All right, and so here's the star of the show, Caraptor. This gorgeous feathered dinosaur is not exactly a bird, but birds are dinosaurs, and it's a very close cousin of the birds, very close cousin of Velociraptor, has that sickle claw. Obviously, Jurassic Park is way off. It was all right for the first Jurassic Park because we didn't know nearly as much about all these feathers, but we found all these amazing fossils, especially from China, that have perfectly preserved feathered wings on these raptor dinosaurs. So now we know that they look like this, but it couldn't fly. And it's quite big. It's as big as a wolf and maybe about 9 feet long. And especially it's got all these feathers on it, so it's gonna look even larger, right? Cannot fly. And so what are feathers for if you can't fly? Anyone have an idea? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it can definitely be a warning.
Camouflage?
Camouflage, warmth, these are all absolutely. Well, so here's the thing. Yeah, birds do really interesting things with their feathers because of sex. Because there's like birds of paradise, for example, or a peacock. It's like the male peacock can hardly fly with those feathers. It's completely contradictory to the kind of general like survival strategy of life. But, well, the female has a very, very strong power of choice when it comes to birds. And she's so picky that she pushes the males to grow these extravagant feathers to impress her. So, well, let's play the next one. The next one is actually not from the film, but from our performance at Asia Society, actually, where I got to meet the La Mama folks. So And then we'll talk a little more. All right, so now we obviously have some new influences coming in. There is a dance called Gandrung from the eastern tip of Java, almost just across the water from Bali, the Osing culture, Osing tribe. And they have a courtship dance, the Gandrung courtship dance, where a Gandrung is, it's a woman, or also they have a tradition of cross-gender as well, who has gone through this spiritual process of becoming a kind of sacred seductress. And within the ritual, either 2 or 4 men will compete for her attention and affection with their best moves in concert with the gamelan, Gandrung gamelan. And so if we can play the next slide. This is a kind of our synergy, our exploration. Here's a little, I really like this image of the carrier after mating. Let's go lecking. Lecking is specifically this phenomena where we have the female in the position of absolute choice, and there's a lecking ground, basically a theater that birds especially will create where the males will come to compete with their movement, their sound. We have bowerbirds that build, you know, these amazing installations. All of that is the phenomena of lecking. Let's next slide. And we can play. This bird is the haruai, or the great Argus pheasant. It's a very famous bird from Indonesia, from Borneo. And one of our biggest inspirations for the Acaroraptor. All right, let's do next slide. I realize that I'm running out of time and there's a little bit more I want to get to. So, okay, I'm sorry we might have to skip this, but we have a story for the last few years of going to Banyuwangi and working with the masters there and working on this process, the process of permissions around the exploration with this tradition. Maybe we don't have time to talk about that right now, but it's very much, I have 50 minutes still? Okay, okay, great. I'm not that worried. Oh, in that case, then let's do it. Oh, yeah. We need that Q&A. Okay, yeah, 2 minutes. Okay, next slide. We'll jump over this. And then, okay, Pregatorius, our ancestor from the asteroid. Let's go. Next slide. All right, and let's just go. So if you want to see the film, it'll be there on Halloween, so you can play. Here's just a little moment from us in Hell Creek this summer. This is a 600-pound chunk of Triceratops that we pulled out of a cliff. And this was our battle over the course of basically 3 weeks.
Spider-Man still okay? Not dead? Not alive. Kita next event get out. Yeah. How's it going, Derek? How's it going, Triceratops? Still dead. That didn't change.
All right, so that's the whole story. Just last, a teaser for our second flagship piece. Let's go. Play. This is the Javanese Homo erectus. You may have heard of Java man, the first known, prehistoric humans that were ever discovered were discovered in Java, just 15 minutes from where we live. And so since 2022, we've also had a very beautiful and deep process of exploring prehistoric humanity and the fire as our ancestral hearth and pre-linguistic society. And so there's not time to go into that, but that's a whole nother story. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll take this one. Is this one on? Is this on? Oh. Should I just use this one? I'll use this one. Oh, no, it's good.
Cool.
Thank you both so much. I'm sorry to cut that off. Ari is going to be with us all for the whole Creatures residency and got thrown into another panel at 4:30 today. But also, yeah, come back for Halloween for Primitive Streak. But let's get into some questions, and then I'm going to ask a couple, but I'd love to make sure that there's room back there. Just when I'm thinking about how we first got into this conversation, when we were talking February, March, and we were talking about the project, and I was saying, oh, I think this needs to be part of Creatures. And you said, what does this have to do with Creatures? And I said, it's about a disappearing language. You know, language is a creature, and we're living in a time where there's a lot of erasure, and we have all of these colonized histories of intentional disappearance of language, because that is our culture and it is so much a part of us. And I'm wondering how much that came in for you, and that made me think about the fact that you're losing your nest. Because as Creatures, and this afternoon at 4:30, when Dr. Lucy Spellman from Creature Conserve joins us, one of the conversations are the essential needs of creatures, right? Shelter, food, water, air, room to move, community. And so I was thinking about how these things are actually crossing over to just some of our essential needs. But anything you can say just a little bit about this approach to, once I said that, you were like, oh yeah, okay, let's go. Can you say something about that?
Yeah. Is my mic on? Let's trade. Hello. You know, Aroji, I think that you're probably a little bit better suited to answer this if you can hear me. I could chime in about it, but you know, it's not my language and it's not my culture. I just had the privilege of helping tell the story. So Aroji, would you mind saying something about that? That erasure of language and the erasure that, you know, comes with colonialism?
Yes, I think for me, one word when Mora was talking about that was resilience. I think the sort of like, and from the, even from the presentation that we've just seen, you know, like there is the element of death, but there's also the element of resilience. And this sort of like, I had, before this, I hadn't thought of resilience as a core part of existence. So if you think about, you know, our language, which is actually Sheng, which is actually popular, it did not exist before colonialism. So what happened is like when the British sort of like conquered the country, they sort of like brought Kiswahili, which is a coastal language, but they brought it all the way to the central area where we have in Kenya, we have like more than 42 languages, but there was no central language. And so they forced Kiswahili to be the central language that everyone had to speak. So for people to survive, they sort of like really just brought in their languages within this new language. So that element of language being a creature is just like, wow, I've also just felt that. And so Sheng is made up of people, first of all, trying to communicate because they have to, because now they're forced to live together. But at the same time, they want to create their own individualism. So it is made up of these two contradicting elements of individualism and unity, which becomes, you know, about a bit contrasting. Yeah, that's what I can say about that.
That was so much better than anything I would have said.
Is this on? I'm here. And then does anybody want to talk about the nest?
Yeah, I'm just translate to Indonesian really quickly. Teman-teman Prehistoric, ada pertanyaan dari Maura tentang kehilangan sarang, bagaimana perasaan kita terhadap sebagai para makhluk, ini konsepnya makhluk kan, bagaimana rasa kehilangan tempat tinggal kita dan bagaimana ke depan sebagai para makhluk. Mungkin Sofyan?
Ya, jadi kita sekarang seperti kehilangan ini ya, nggak tahu ini kita mau kemana kita kalau mencari induk karena kita sudah tidak punya rumah untuk pulang ya, tapi kurasa ruang itu ada di mana saja, tempat pulang itu ada di mana saja, asal kita bisa bertemu induk kita di mana saja, kayaknya kita ya harus tetap survive. Semoga kita segera punya ruang untuk kembali pulang memeluk satu sama lain.
So Sofyan says that
kira-kira begitu.
There is this feeling of loss, but also the world is our home, and so how do we find our sense of home beyond that home?
Wah, ini agak please.
And then also he said, hopefully soon we have the resources to build a new nest. Yeah.
Okay, we have 5 minutes because we actually have to change over for the 2 o'clock program, but we've got a question from the audience that's very urgently wanting to be asked.
No, I'm just so incredibly excited by the Prehistoric Body Theater, and I don't know, 3 months ago when Mora sent me the link, I was absolutely stunned because so much of my childhood was spent in that within that formation, and I have so many fossils from that time. And in another life, I was going to be a paleontologist, and I just couldn't believe that these two things were being aligned into a performance. So I mean, I have so many things that I want to ask to take further, to talk to both of you about. So incredible. Yeah, so part of it is the comment, is just being so excited by the work and the way the work aligns. I guess the other question is, having spent so much time as a child in that land and amongst that land, I'm just wondering if you've had the opportunity, or if there's going to be the opportunity to share the work with some of the indigenous peoples that have occupied that area and that geography for many millennia.
Well, thank you so much, and that's so exciting. Yeah, I also love dinosaurs since I was a kid, so it's so cool to be able to explore in this way. And as far as, like, for example, the Hell Creek area specifically, the actual Hell Creek State Park is 2 years ago got basically the control of that area is now under the Assiniboine tribe and the Sioux in eastern Montana. And we tried to reach out, but we weren't able to really make the connection. And it was a little tricky this summer because the paleontology team really has a mission every day in terms of, you know, getting that Triceratops out. That's #1. And we didn't have our own car. We were with them. So hopefully we'll be able to go back to that area with maybe our own vehicle and a little bit more independence to build our own program, because that I'm very, very curious about the stories of that land from the, you know, the First Nations, the Assiniboine and Sioux that are there. And I think there's just going to be such an amazing conversation between my team and them in so many ways. There's also, interestingly, a very beautiful, very old theater in the little town that's about an hour away from there. So I'm curious to actually create some event there slowly. We also had some pretty funny relationships with the cowboys in Montana. Oh my God, crazy. But it's kind of like we're very country, and so in Montana's very country, and it actually connected. It was really, they got a lot of tips for raising cows. Boy is like really on building a cow farm now in Java with using the Montana technique. So anyway, lots
Other
of stories.
questions? Anybody else? Was that one more?
The sustainability of both of your companies, you know, and I know I was talking to Aroji before the conversation we're having right now, but I would love to hear more about how you're thinking about the future and how you're going to sustain these companies going forward, and Aroji too, because this was something of, we've been talking a lot about that, right? Like, how do we continue and in places and with, everybody has different circumstances of challenge, you know, we all have our challenges, and so you guys are serving kind of as a model for other companies, other communities of figuring out how do we keep going.
Yeah, Aroji, that's definitely another question that I think that you're the one that, from the Bold Theater side, you should be answering that one, pal.
Yeah, I mean, thank you, Mia. Yeah, this is, of course, a question that we will always explore. And what I'd like to sort of like point out is, for me, I just realized that collaborations are the way to the, you know, are the future. We are not gonna sustain, you know, theater without collaborations. And if you think about where the world is right now, I think we are again challenged with the idea of what is the relevance of theater. You know, and it's not only at an international level, it's also at very local level where people sort of like have forgotten the importance of peace. People have forgotten the importance of unity. So I think theater is sort of like one of the unique spaces that can really honestly explore this idea. For us in Kenya and in East Africa, one of my greatest frustrations and challenges has always been to start again, because we have a big gap between patronage and professionalism. So we never have really gotten that right. And as I sort of like continue to advocate this idea of training, which is usually very expensive, we were only able to do this because Adam volunteered to come here for, you know, at his own cost. And then with the support of La Mama and other friends and Adam's friends, we were able to raise that money. That's the only reason how this training program was able to happen. But looking forward, we also discovered that we have a lot to also show and share. So I'm looking at projects which I've done, and I'll share with those who are interested. We did with Culture Hub, the Serbian, a production company from Serbia, and another production from Seoul, the Institute of the Arts, whereby we do a symposium and we bring people to Kenya and we say, come and share your experiences as you teach us your experiences. So I think that has really worked, because people then come here, and maybe Adam, when he has time, he will talk about what he learned outside theater, what he learned about humanity, about, you know, Africanism, and how that then affects you as a human being. So for me, I hope that in moving forward, we'll be able to invite you to come over and have this kind of experience that Adam has had, and sort of like produce something that therefore can be shared with the whole world as a team.
That was great. That was perfect.
Yeah, this is of course such a big question. Maybe I can shout out Cindy Sobilski. As of our Asia Society show, we met there, and she's now producing Prehistoric Body Theater. So having a producer who's awesome is, something that's such a big step, a new chapter for us. And of course, we're growing older. Sofian has a kid. Arif there is going to become a father in less than 2 months. That it becomes really this question of, how can we sustain this? And maybe I can just slight teaser, but part of how we're looking going forward is, for example, with the University of Washington is actually doing very much this multiple month inhabitation of the campus, working between the Science Museum, biology, theater, drama, ethnomusicology, the Gamelan program, and Mini, the Performing Arts Center, and building this cross-divisional program in the campus, which is, it's a very interesting process because they actually don't have even the admin system for that. So it's like those whole campus structures have to be prototyped even to accommodate the idea. It's in process, but these are some of the things that we're very much looking at: slow touring, and how can we inhabit places deeply and really work with students over multiple months and really dive into this work and have it become something that's very much rooted within the places that we can tour to. And hopefully that will also become sustenance for our future in Indonesia. Maybe I can very quickly, kalau teman-teman mau gabung ini pertanyaan tentang keberlanjutan prehistorik, bagaimana perspektif kita terhadap keberlanjutan ke depan. Ada yang mau ngomong? Widi mungkin.
Sorry, jaringannya putus-putus, bro.
Yeah, they don't have good reception, so. Well, it's a conversation.
Mungkin aku sedikit gitu.
Oh.
Widi.
Okay. Iya,
Mungkin membicarakan sebuah keberlanjutan bagaimana prehistorik dan paleontologi gitu, akhirnya bagaimana seni dan dunia sejarah menjadi satu kolaborasi, ruang kolaborasi, dan itu menjadi satu masa depan yang cukup bagus dan cukup indah, bagaimana akhirnya dua yang di satu ruang gitu. Jadi aku bayangin akan jadi sesuatu yang cukup besar nantinya ketika ngomongin sebuah seni ini, tapi di sini dengan data yang cukup jelas dan masih sama-sama mencari eksplorasi gitu, masih mencari data gitu sih kalau aku. Terima kasih.
For this relationship with the science and how this art and the science can really work together, and a lot of that sustainability is continuing to build these relationships with scientists and the scientific research, and how we're really synergistically part of that wave of development of human knowledge. Yeah.
And I just wanted to say one thing about that sustainability thing is expanding your capacity for reaching across borders, the borders of the mind, the borders that are real, and expanding your capacity for kindness. That, I think, is paramount to the sustainability of these projects and this kind of work.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. I think we'll just close it with the ethos of the Creatures Project, which was interdependence. Reciprocity and interdependence has always been and is key to our survival. So I think these are great examples of that approach to life. So thank you, Bold Theater. Thank you, Prehistoric Body Theater. What an honor to have you both here. Folks, 2 o'clock show starts in the lobby. Come back up here at 4:30 for a Cross-Pollination panel. 7 o'clock show. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much, team.
Thanks for joining, Kenya. Top Shota.